Red Bull secured a relatively easy win at the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. Although the team started at the 15th position on the grid, the team performed incredibly, and all the members should be in a celebratory mood, right? Well, it wasn't so for everyone. On Monday, the team's brief revealed that the tension between Perez and Verstappen could explode. Stick around for more details. The race in Saudi Arabia had similar characteristics to that in Bahrain. Fernando Alonso from Aston Martin finished third but was stripped of the podium after serving a penalty incorrectly, so George Russell from Mercedes took his place. Expectedly, Perez had a relatively easy race on Sunday, starting in the pole position. On the other hand, Verstappen began in 15th place after a drivetrain problem impacted his qualifying a day earlier. Alonso overtook Perez at the start of the race, but picked up a 5-second penalty for wrongly lining up in his grid spot. However, the penalty had little effect on the overall outcome of the race. Verstappen had to find his way up the line as his car once again showed it was the fastest this F1 season. Once the two-time champion moved to the second position, there was little action to see from the rest of the race besides the few contests for positions lower on the grid. Many people thought Perez was set to win and receive the bonus point for the quickest lap, which would have seen him take the top position in the championship. But the last lap saw Verstappen overtake Perez to stay ahead in the standings by 1 point. Verstappen's win in Jeddah made Perez slightly irritated in his post-race interview. Verstappen going from 15th to a podium finish on a street circuit was an incredible achievement, but he did it easily. He overtook Alonso in second position with over 40% of the race left, leaving him 5.7 seconds behind fellow Red Bull driver Perez. He won because of the giant DRS zones on the circuit, and the Red Bull dumped all its drag as soon as the DRS opened. Most fans and analysts can't explain how Red Bull accomplished it, but the team's DRS is more effective than any other car. Verstappen previously said 2 races in the championship look like a battle between Red Bull and others due to his team's big advantage over others. Analysis of the race showed that Red Bull had at least 1 second per lap on the circuit in Saudi Arabia. Well, events during the race proved him right. With 25 laps left, it was a straight battle between 2 Red Bull teammates, but Perez had a 5.6 seconds lead over Max. Perez is a street circuit expert and showed his ability on the Jeddah track. When both drivers crossed the line, Verstappen only managed a 0.34 seconds gain on Perez in 10 laps. Regardless, both drivers began to get heated during the last 15 laps of the race. If it were any other team with the larger gap between their cars and a 13-second advantage to third place, they would have matched the car's lap time in third position and ensured everyone came home safely with the large points haul. However, Max Verstappen was involved, so that step was completely impossible. Returning to the Bahrain race, Perez explained his concerns if they had to push themselves to the end. One of them was reliability concerns before expressing his joy to be so far ahead in Bahrain. Those reliability concerns came through in qualifying, with Verstappen retiring in Q2, which also appeared during the race. Verstappen's drive shaft also caused his problems during qualifying and the race. He said he could feel an issue with it. "I feel like the drive shaft is running slightly rough," he spoke to the team through the radio on lap 25. His race engineer Gianpiero Lambiase explained that the Bilbao offset remains and Verstappen can't do anything on the Bilbao map itself. Nonetheless, Max continued telling the engineer something was wrong, especially during speed. He lost a second of lap time at one point because he feared the car would break down if he kept going at his current speed. Similarly, Perez complained about a long brake pedal and his brakes starting to wear. With the mounting problems faced by both drivers, Red Bull tried to set lap times for them to maintain the gap to Alonso and get their cars home safely. But Verstappen wasn't interested. He has a habit of ignoring his race engineer, which frustrated Gianpiero increasingly as he tried to give him targeted lap times. The same happened in Bahrain 2 weeks ago as Verstappen continued pushing even though the team was concerned about his vehicle. However, Red Bull gave both drivers a target lap time of 1.33 seconds on the 39th lap. Perez replied "copy," but Verstappen was silent. Another target lap time of 33.0 came for turn 23 and Verstappen still didn't respond. The call to maintain target lap time came multiple times, but Verstappen didn't respond and drove at 32.6 seconds. It was clear he wanted to catch up to Perez. 2 laps later, his race engineer pleaded, Max, can you target 33.0 please? You can guess the response. It was simple, he said nothing. Verstappen was running at 32.6 per lap. While Perez was matching him, but was complaining to his race engineer Hugh Bird, "We are pushing for no reason, guys. Not a smart thing to do." Although he was right, Max Verstappen doesn't care. The smartest decision is only sometimes the best decision when Verstappen is your teammate. He is not in the race to be a team player. He is driving to win, which showed in Jeddah. As the race approached the finishing line, it was evident that Verstappen would finish ahead of everyone. He even made inroads. While the race had 5 laps left, Max asked his engineer, "What is the fastest lap?" after ignoring the man since he asked the driver to maintain the target lap time. Although Gianpiero responded, "We are not worried about it right now, Max." The driver replied, "No, but I am." The already annoyed engineer replied, 32.1, 32.1. Verstappen already knew it would be Perez with the quickest lap since no one had the pace to match him. Therefore, Verstappen drove the fastest lap of the race at 31.906 because he knew that Perez wouldn't have a chance to respond with another fast lap. Both drivers had outstanding performance for diverse reasons. Perez drove an almost perfect race. After the safety car, he created a 5 seconds gap from Alonso and maintained it, which preserved his tires and car. On the other hand, Verstappen drove an incredible comeback race. Undoubtedly, going from 15th place to 2nd position in half a race is an amazing accomplishment, and it displayed the incredible strength of the RB19. However, everyone can see the tension between both drivers building. The situation differed from Ricciardo versus Verstappen in 2018 and Hamilton versus Rosberg in 2016. In both cases, the drivers were closely matched in terms of skill. However, this season is different. Only a handful of people will say Perez could fight Verstappen for the title, but the Dutchman is a step ahead of Perez. Red Bull received a lot of backlash from the F1 and the media as Perez was accused of deliberately crashing his car in Q3 of the Grand Prix in Monaco. There was a widespread belief that the action was meant to stop Verstappen from qualifying ahead of him, but the allegations were never proven. The race in Brazil further revealed the tension between both drivers. In the race, Verstappen showed he could have been a team player. He refused to give a place back to Perez after the Mexican had given it to Verstappen to allow him to have a go at making a move. Formula One, like any other sport, is about winning. You need help to achieve your driving skills. Some guts are also needed. A sharp edge that allows you to do whatever it takes to get the top position. Max Verstappen doesn't have an off switch, and many people are starting to realize that this season. How often will it be before we see a Red Bull versus Red Bull crash? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. See you in the next one.